Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, this is going to be worth it. I know we're a bit behind here on Sportswire Radio, but this is going to be well worth the wait. Let me tell you something. I watched his match just a little short while ago against Craven Rage, who's been no stranger to Sports Bar Radio. And this guy, let me tell you something. He is a guy you're going to want to get to know here. He's a guy that you're going to want to pay some attention to. He has been dominating the scene here in Wrestling Championship and Entertainment, one of our new favorite companies around here on Sports Bar Radio. He's got some big wins over the likes of Adonis Bellios and Sean Jovi, and he can do a moonsault maybe as good as anybody's I've seen in a very, very long time, and he is definitely the picture of perfection. So with
Sportswire Radio.
Further ado here on the Sports Report. Number one global sports show, pro wrestling star here from Wrestling Championship Entertainment. That's the Kodak Kidd. Bang, bang.
Damn, was that an introduction? My God, I appreciate that. The Rev Tom Bryce. Jesus. I like that, man.
We'll see if I'm a reverend after this. We'll see if I have a voice in a little while. But obviously, my friend, what a wrestler. I got to tell you something. You really caught my attention here over the past couple weeks. I know I've had a lot of the guys on, Nicholas Crenson, James Marshall, of course, Olympic State Openweight Champion, Craven Rage, Sean Jovi, all been on here. But you, my friend, did a moonsault in the Spirit in the Sky Rumble that I don't know if I've seen anybody. In fact, you did it twice, if I'm not mistaken. On top of that,
I did. Yep, twice.
And you definitely been somebody that have proved that you can hang with some of the best of them. So for here on Sportswire Radio, set the tables for us and the kind of wrestler that the picture of perfection Kodak Kidd is.
Man, it's picture perfect every time. You got you that's the way the Kodak Kidd works. Is you come up
Kodak camera?
No, I wish. Do they even exist anymore? I don't even know.
You know, I was thinking about that. I was actually thinking of that. So
yeah, like I wonder if they still exist. But if they do, this is where it comes from. Is man, and you know the moonsault. That was. You see three guys beating the hell out of each other, and you got to take them all down. What do you do? You got a moonsault on them. That's the only way. It's a picture of perfection, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, you definitely are. And I got to ask you that, and obviously for those that are watching and listening to this, I mean, how do you practice a move like that and be able to get the timing? Because that's not an easy move to pull off, especially the way you do it. I mean, talk to me about that.
Okay, so I originally straight shoot. I did it. I went to the top rope and I said, "Hey guys, check this out." And I did a backflip. And I landed it and it just grew from there. Everybody was like, "Okay." So all right, then why not just throw it in the Rumble? And I was like, all right, I'm going to throw it in the Rumble. And as soon as I saw those guys beating the hell out of each other, I said, you know what? This is the only time to do it. And I pulled it off. It looked a lot better than what I thought it was going to. And then the second one was it was picture perfect timing.
Well, you definitely pulled it off. I mean, I almost have to ask you, I mean, do other guys in the locker room say, hey, you know what, be careful, or hey, you know, are you sure about that? Because, I mean, that's a move, like I said, very, very tough move to pull off. You're almost like the Jeff Hardy of Wrestling Championship Entertainment there.
I appreciate that. I really do. I try to emulate a lot of Jeff Hardy.
I can see that in your ring ability. I can see that in terms of what you do.
There's a lot of moves that I do. Besides the F5, I guess there was a couple of moves that I have taken from Jeff Hardy, and really shout out to Jeff Hardy. I hope he's doing well. I heard he wasn't, but I don't know. I hope he's doing all right. But no, actually, nobody in the locker room. That they were the guys that are on my side. Nicholas Crenson, you got Sean Jovi, Darkfire, all on my side. They said, you know, if you're gonna pull something out, you need to pull out something that's picture perfect. And the moonsault just came. it came about that day, and they told me you need to pull it off, and I did. I mean, it was scary as shit. It was like it
Well, I
was
can
one of those
imagine. I mean, listen. I mean, I was
when
speaking
you're
with the
upside
wrestler.
down in the air and you got three guys coming your way. It's like, oh.
Listen, I was speaking with the wrestler who's coming on tomorrow night. That is Bentley, the vigilante of pro wrestling in England, who fought for the BTW and the GTM World Heavyweight Championships there. And he did a underhook double arm DDT, and it was like I
Yeah.
asked him, like, how'd you pull that off? And that moves nothing compared to what
Bit
you
of a
do in the ring
moonsault.
there.
You know, and in Spirit in the Sky, I actually took a move that was a little bit worse. Was the package pile driver? James Marshall gave it to me. Oh man, that hurt the neck for a couple days. That was that. You know, that was one of those ones that was a little worse.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're definitely showing people here why people should go over to WCEheat.com and deal with pro wrestling star here. The picture of perfection, Kodak Kidd. I mean, Kodak Kidd, are you like getting ready for a wrestling match? Right? It's almost like, are you going to show us some movement? Because you're like moving around here, and I hear a lot in the background. I mean, you must be getting ready for something here. I mean, this is almost like really a first here on Sportswire Radio.
I'll tell you what. My phone was dying, so I had to run to a charger.
Oh, well, that's a good reason why. You know what? I certainly don't blame you whatsoever for looking for a charger. So certainly, all of us need to charge those batteries here. And obviously, like I have Raw in the background, but we're more focused.
I have Raw in the background. Now we know what's up.
We do, and that's why we have obviously you here with us. But I mean, so obviously we saw your match that took place against Craven Rage. Craven Rage, we're going to break it here, is coming back next Wednesday. And I have to say, I know James Marshall and Nicholas Clenchen is the feud right now that everybody's talking about WCE. But I mean, the match that you and him had, I have to say, was one of the better pro wrestling matches I've watched.
Two of them.
I know that.
Two of them. I know you know. I believe the match you talked about was WC Beat the Heat. If you haven't catched it out, you guys got it.
Championship Entertainment. Yep.
You need to check it out. He got one over on me. I mean, I'll have to give it to him. I hate the guy. I hate his guts, but I will respect that guy to the limit that I can. He beat me the way I could.
I felt like in that match, there was a couple of times I think you and him both thought you had won the match, but I kind of think in some ways you both complimented each other, not so much in that you guys complimented each other, but in the fact that basically you guys were almost like the perfect opponents for one another. As that match is going on there in Beat the Heat, where you and him are going back and forth, did you feel that way, that almost like he was the perfect foil for you and you were the perfect foil for him almost?
Yes. See, no, the thing with Craven is like anything I threw at him, and I'm sorry, I'm moving around again. I got to do what I can.
That's okay. Listen, I'm used to a lot of things on Sportswire Radio, so trust me, not a problem.
So the thing with Craven is I get in the ring with him, and anything I threw at him, he threw back at me. Right. And it was one of those things. I know he hit me with I went to the middle rope and I was gonna hit him with a crossbody, and he hit me with a cutter that was more out of nowhere than any Randy Orton RKO I've ever seen. So, I mean, I always have to give it to him. I didn't like the guy. I still don't like the guy.
I don't think anybody in Wrestling Championship Entertainment, for the most part, seems to be a fan of Craven Rage. And apparently,
he's got some heat. He in the locker room. He sits by himself. That's for sure.
And apparently, we have a comment from somebody that might know Mr. Craven Rage. And this individual says, "You always fall to the ruler of the yard."
He is the ruler of the yard for now. That doesn't mean I'm not done with him. Oh my Jesus.
Interesting.
I definitely want to see him again, but I've had my chance and it just doesn't work.
Well, I mean, we'll certainly find out. And Mr. Rage apparently says
Oh, no, you're
that
done?
he doesn't like you, apparently. That's what Mr. Rage is telling through this
I
individual.
don't like him. I haven't liked him. I've tried him twice for the Wisconsinite Championship, the
Yep.
Grand Slam
The Universal
Universal
Grand Slam
Championship.
Wisconsinite Championship. Yep.
And it's just, he got me, man. He got me a couple times, but as soon as I get that next chance, I'm coming at him.
Well, we'll certainly find out. I know that also you were in the ring with somebody recently that came on. That was James Marshall, which I got a chance to watch your match for the Interstate Openweight Championship, and another banger there. And speak about for us here the reigning defending Wisconsin Universal and Interstate Openweight
The
champion.
Interstate Openweight James Marshall.
Yep.
I just faced him at Spirit in the Sky. Oh, man. You know how many times I wish I could come up with a win? But James Marshall is another one of those guys that he just knows. He just knows. He calculates, and then he attacks. And he's the one that hit me with that package pile driver.
Yep.
End of the match. There's not much you can do after that.
So what makes him then such a great champion in your opinion? Because obviously you just faced him in the ring most recently. What makes him such a great champion since you've been in the ring?
He's calculating. He just follows the rules as far as it comes to wrestling. When it comes to wrestling, you need to know your opponent, and I went in there with everything I had, and he still was able to counter anything I had. I hit him with an old school. I hit him with a tornado DDT on the outside of the ring,
Yep.
and he was still. I hit him with an F5. I hit that big motherfucker. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
big,
keep the we're a family station. I know for Mr. Rage.
I apologize. That I beat that mother effer. I hit him with an F5, and he still got up. How do you get up from all that? And that's what you need as a champion.
Well, we'll certainly find out. We'll come back to him in a second. And apparently a comment from an individual who might know Craven Rage says, Craven Rage is definitely always better than you since you're not so perfect.
I wouldn't say all that. He knows I'm picture of perfection. He knows I'm picture perfect. I was this close to ending the ruler of the yard.
Well, let me ask you then this question, because you make a great point, and you were in the ring with Craven Rage not too long ago. You were in the ring a few short weeks ago with James Marshall, and you came up a little short. What I've noticed here in WCE is Adonis Felios you've been able to handle. Sean Jovi you even have a victory over. But when it comes to our champions, you haven't been able to quite get over the finish line. What do you feel like that you need to do in these next few months here to be able to hold gold in Wrestling Championship Entertainment?
I need to watch. I need to watch and learn. I need to watch each champion. See, the problem with Craven Rage is I did think I was better than him, and I am better than him. I'm still going to be better than him any day of the week. He was just better than me on that day. That's all it is. And I need to be able to watch and calculate things that I need to do to overrule the ruler of the yard. Or we got the open weight interstate champion James Marshall, who I've only got one chance at, and he was better than me that day. But every day of the week, I'm better than him. I'm picture perfect. That's the only way it is.
But I always feel like, in a sense, when you have a champion, right? And I've interviewed a lot of different wrestlers, either who've won a title or challenged for a title, like you have, and I almost feel like the same thing prevails, though, is that those who hold that championship, maybe not every day, they're on their best day, but they find ways to retain and hold on to that gold. I mean, you no question have the skills. You no question have the ring ability. And frankly, and I've said this to you off the air, and I've watched almost everybody now in WCE, you look like a guy that is a pro, and you look like a guy that should be holding gold. But I mean, is there something that you need to do differently? Is there something that you're missing right now? I mean, walk me through that.
See, being the picture of perfection, you think it's your picture perfect at any given time, but you're not. And that's what I need to realize. I didn't have the respect I believe I had for Craven Rage as I do now, and I didn't have the respect for James Marshall. I thought it would be a cakewalk, but either one of those guys is not a cakewalk. And Craven can say all he wants that I'm not picture perfect and this and that, but I need to understand that there's a respect in this game that needs to be reached. And now that I know that, if I get one of those two, one of those two, that's all I need, and then I'll get that title.
Well, we'll certainly find out here as we were with pro wrestling star here, the picture of perfection, Kodak Kidd from our friends over at Wrestling Championship Entertainment. And if you like what you hear from Wrestling Championship Entertainment, do give them a follow on Facebook at Wrestling Championship Entertainment. Also, YouTube, we're over 100 subscribers now on, where you can watch great shows like Beat the Heat, also Vindication and Spirit in the Sky and Red, White, and Bruised. So many great shows, and many great shows are up ahead starting next week with Blaze of Glory Day 1 and Blaze of Glory Day 2 to follow right afterwards. So certainly is a very, very busy time here for Wrestling Championship Entertainment. I am the host of the Sports Report, the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce. But obviously, we spoke a little bit about the champions here, but I want to ask you here, Kodak Kidd, and what got you into becoming a professional wrestler?
Oh, geez, what got me into being a professional wrestler? I have to give all the credit in the world to my older brother, Dan. His name was Dandy Dan Slater. He was the best there was. And I remember sitting back when I was 4 or 5 years old watching WrestleMania 14, listening to my mom yell and scream at Stone Cold Steve Austin, kicking Shawn Michaels' ass. You know, it started young, but I mean, as far as the actual in-ring ability, it had to be given to Dandy Dan.
What made him then such a wrestler, other than being your brother, where you had an impression?
He just believed it. He just believed it was real. He just understood. He could go out there and in a 5-minute match make you blur that line of fantasy and reality.
I see that he never responded.
Absolutely, no question about that. I mean, well, I'd have to say that he would have been your biggest influence.
You know, there's a lot of influences as far as wrestling when you watch it. But when you see it firsthand, like he gave it to you, it was something that was extraordinary, man. It was phenomenal. If I could take AJ Styles' words.
No question that wrestling does. You know, it's funny you said about the real ability factor. And I was listening to an interview the other day, and I forget who it was. Maybe it was Jeff Jarrett or it was somebody. And they said that wrestling, when you actually win a title, it becomes real in a sense. In fact, it is real. And frankly, I think it is real because everything you guys put your bodies through. So at the end of the day, it is real. It's just that, you know, it's all in the eye of the beholder. But there's no question that certainly when it comes to wrestling, that you definitely have some great influences. In WrestleMania 14, I obviously remember very, very well as a little kid as well, watching that on VHS. So I have...
Yeah, you had the whole set. The whole, like,
WrestleMania box set. Yep, I remember as a kid, my brothers and I had an allowance. And I remember there was a store, because I had grown up in Brooklyn, New York. And we actually wound up going to a place called The Wiz. And we wound up, whenever little money we had, we would buy all the VHSs because we just got into wrestling in 1998 officially. So
yes,
all that stuff here. And I have a comment, though, from somebody that was on the show or sort of related to somebody that was on the show. And they have a message for you from this individual. And this individual is giving us a message on behalf of Nicholas Crenson. And this individual says, Kodak, we need to mix it up soon. You know what? I think about all the people that you've been in the ring with in WCE, and I do think that you and Nicholas Crenson would tear the house down. I mean, is that somebody you'd like to face off with in WCE soon?
You know, he's always been on that list in my mind as the number one guy. Nicholas Crenson, he just gets it. Me and him, we've gone back. Me and him actually have gone back a long time. We
Really?
used to wrestle in a couple different promotions together, but never ever had that chance to go one on one. So if he wants to mix it up, I'm down at any time he wants. Any chance we can, any place we can, we'll tear the house down.
Well, I have to bring it up then because obviously it has been the talk of WCE before I get to the next comment. And I have to ask you, I mean, certainly you might have a vested interest then in James Marshall and Nicholas Crenson in a 30-minute Iron Man match. Then I have to say you'd have a vested interest in that, no?
Oh yeah, definitely. What is that on the September 10th?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's day 2. Yep.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to be in front row watching it.
So, what do you think then comes away from? You've obviously been in the ring with James Marshall. You've seen him up close. You've obviously been in the ring with him and seen him go in. You know the history between Nicholas Crenson and Mr. Marshall. I mean, what do you think happens there then? And we are waiting for Mr. Kodak Kidd. Certainly, are you there, champ?
I think unless Nicholas Crenson can bring the heat, James Marshall's going to walk away.
Well, I would say that a comment from Mr. Crenson through this individual is here with us. It would be an honor to face my former tag team partner's little brother.
See, he's talking about Dan.
So talk to me about their relationship then with him and Dan.
I believe they were in a tag team called Black and Blue, who at this point I probably would have been about 10 or 11 years old. And I got to see them, and he knows Dan just as well as I do. Dan was, man, he was so charismatic. He just knew it. So it means so much to me that Crenson thinks of me at least as highly as Dan. And he might be in a bad place now, but Dan was at one point the champion of champions of the backyard.
And I have a few comments in here which I want to get to. And actually, it was so damn dandy. So
Dandy Dan, that was his. He used to have a phrase called BYODC, bring your own damn chairs. and on the back he had it on the front of his shirt, and on the back he had so damn dandy on it.
Wow.
If anybody's watching right now, if you go to Sean Jovi's page, you can find not only a match with me from before WC, but you can also find a match with Dandy Dan himself against Sean Jovi in backyard.
Well, I'll tell you what. Make sure you send that to me after we go off the air, because I'll make it my note before I go to work in a few hours to watch that match. So if you send that to me, I promise you I'll watch that match, and that's something I would very much look forward to. So certainly.
Oh man, I didn't even think about it until I brought it up just now. But I will promise you, I send you that.
Friend, that's the beauty of live radio. Anything goes. Anything can happen when you're free flowing and you're just shooting the breeze. That's what happens. But certainly, I do have to ask, and I know obviously your brother's not in the greatest of places, but do you ever ask him for advice, or have you asked him for advice in the past about wrestling?
About wrestling? Yes. He brought up there was one time to where he said, if you ever get lost in the ring, there's 8 spots. You got the 4 corners, and then you got the middle of each rope. So there's 8 spots. If you ever get lost, you can bring yourself to one of those spots and then work from there. He was an expert at bringing in outside entertainment. Like in the match against Sean Jovi, he uses a tree 4 or 5 different ways and different times. Just one tree, different ways, different times, and it's so impressive. He even kicks a fence into Sean Jovi's face at one point in time.
Wow.
It is
That's
incredible.
gotta hurt, don't you think?
Oh yeah, no, I bet you it hurt. And see, when Dan smelled blood, he would go for it, and then you can see him kick the fence into his face, and then just start punching him in the face as hard as he can. Because
Oh my.
Dan. Yeah, no, Dan was. It was real. Like it was real when it came to Dan.
Well, that's gotta hurt is all I could continue to say. And I have another great comment in here. And Dan, the only person crazy enough to get Tiger
Tiger
drivered
drivered
off
off
a
a
car
car
through a
through a
light
light.
tube table and still keep his crazy energy. Yeah, that's
I
like
will send you that video as well.
I don't
That
even know
was
if I don't even know if Mick Foley would do that.
no, Dan. Mick Foley had nothing on Dan. I'll
That's
send you
what
that
listen,
video as
Tiger
well.
drivered
That
off a
video is
car through a
on
light tube
YouTube.
table. How was he alive after that?
It's a good question. He blew his ribs out during that. Like his ribs popped through his side.
And
Yeah,
what was
I'll send you that video as well.
You send me that. I'll make sure I watch that after I eat rather than before I eat because I don't know if I'll have an appetite after that. But I'm almost tempted to ask. I mean, how was he even walking afterwards? I mean,
He was built different. He just was. He see his thing is no matter he would do something, and no matter how many times you would watch it back, you weren't able to find that secret. That there's how people say there's secrets to wrestling. His
right.
idea in his mind is if you can blur that fantasy and that reality to where there's no line at all and it's all reality, then oh man. Man, I wish I could find that. I'll have to look for that one for you.
Well, certainly, I'm sure that you will try your best for that. And of course, if you like what you hear from us on Sportswire Radio, do give us a like on Facebook at Sportswire Radio. And 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, you can listen to all of our great content on sportnarium.com/player. And we will be back tomorrow afternoon and evening UK time with the vigilante of pro wrestling, Bentley, who we last just saw in the LWF in the main event of Monday Night Mutiny against Jack Barron. And he is looking forward to being a part of things at GTM qualification against Alex Boylan, the Metal God. We'll also see him upcoming in BTW. So excited to be with Bentley. As always, a lot to get to, but we are right now with pro wrestling star, the picture of perfection, Kodak Kidd, who certainly has been making a name for himself here in WCE, our friends over at Wrestling Championship Entertainment. And another great comment in here, Devil's Night Disaster from FVWA Halloween Smash 2004. And funny thing, Dan didn't get the worst of it in the match, which is kind of scary because that means somebody else would have got even further hurt.
That's because somebody got oh man, they got Tiger drivered on this coffee table
Oh my
and landed on their neck. I'm pretty sure they broke their neck. Like it was rough.
Well,
I can't believe
why
Prenson still remembers all this.
Well, I have to ask, I mean, why put your body through some of that? I mean, that's like, I don't know.
Because it was the pop, man. The pop of the fans, that Road Warrior pop.
Well, you know what? At that time also, because I remember, because I obviously grew up in that time about wrestling, and I remember as a kid, that was the days where, you wanted to go anywhere and learn how to wrestle. I remember as a kid, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and around that time, it was like everybody said, you know what? Okay, if I can find a couch, if I can find an empty spot, an empty space, I can, try these. People would try. I remember as a kid, around that time, people would try wrestling like in the park. We'd have these open spaces, like all the way, almost not quite the woods, but almost the woods, and you try some moves there. So I guess maybe that's the mindset,
The Devil's Night Disaster match was basically two guys would start in the ring. And then every so often, one guy would move from the ring to this octagon that was made out of car, and it was wrapped in barbed wire. The whole octagon was wrapped in barbed wire. And Dan, he got Tiger drivered off the car through the light tube table. But the idea of the match was it was kind of like a Royal Rumble almost, but then everybody ended up into the octagon that we made which was just absurd.
That's wild, man. I remember as a kid we tried to like make almost like belts and make different things, but never an octagon. I mean, that's
No,
stuff.
it was very dumb.
Okay, well, you know what? Listen, I like I said at that time I could sympathize because I remember 20 years ago, which is it's almost 20 years ago, even a little bit before. I remember as a kid writing up all the matches I was going to have in the street. We did the fake punches, and we did, we do the dub. We try to do the DDT perfectly. We do the stunner, and we do all that stuff. So I totally, totally get it. And I have another good comment in there for you. Dream match: Kodak Kid versus Mikey Genocide.
Mikey Genocide. Wow. I haven't heard of his name in a long time. That's like bringing up Platinum Rapper, which is another, or Joey Avalon. Those are really big names now here in Wisconsin. As far as WPW, which is Wisconsin Pro Wrestling, I guess, a shout out to them. But they have these names
I
now
heard of
that,
Joey Avalon before. I know who he is.
yeah, Joe, like, and Mikey Genocide is up there with them. Who is wow, that would be a dream match. I would love. I don't know where he is or what he's doing nowadays, but Mikey Genocide, if you're watching and you're listening, Kodak Kid is out for your name.
Well, Joey Avalon, I just followed on Twitter, so certainly, if there is a scenario that I could make anything happen, I'll definitely try my best. I highly doubt he'll get in touch, but you never know. We do have a big reach on Sportswire
He's
Radio, and you know.
yeah, he's got a big head, more than his name, way bigger than his name.
Well, that happens in the professional wrestling business. I've interviewed many professional wrestlers, many athletes. So, I certainly sympathize with it. But let's come back to Wrestling Championship Entertainment. I got all that. I
Yes.
could talk all day about Mikey Genocide and Joey Avalon, but I'm here with Kodak Kid. And I want to ask you, what does Wrestling Championship Entertainment mean to you?
It gave me the platform to do the things that I do. Win or lose, I go out there and I put on a show to the 20 people that show up, the 30 people that show up, the hundreds of people that are watching. It's more or less for them, and it gives me a platform to do what I love to do in front of the people that love to see me do it. So I mean that means everything to me.
What would it mean to you to hold either the Universal Grand Slam Wisconsinite Championship or the Interstate Openweight Championship? What would that mean to you?
Oh, I mean everything. Being the number one guy or the number two guy or however you look at it. See, here's the thing with the Wisconsinite Championship and the Openweight Interstate Championship. They're exactly the same on my boat. Like there isn't one bigger than the other. They're both exactly where they need to be. And holding one would be like holding both. And it's you're the pinnacle at that point. You're the guy that everybody wants to take down. And I, if I could, I'd go out there and I'd face everybody in a gauntlet match, 1 versus 20. I don't care. If I was the champion, and I would hold it all the way through.
Spoken like somebody that might have gold in their mind. And we have here another comment. Kodak, you basically get people talking. Yeah, I almost feel like that. You're like that wrestler. Sometimes you have wrestlers, and we reference Jeff Hardy for an example. And
Yeah,
in
we
his
did.
younger days, Shawn Michaels in his younger days, not Shawn
He's
Michaels.
he's number one to me. Like, you can't beat that.
Right. And
Shawn Michaels.
you're like that though, because you're the guy that I felt like in watching your matches, whether it was Marshall, whether it was Rage, or even in the Rumble, that you're the guy that like I feel like that I put everything what I'm doing down. I put my popcorn down, my soda, I stand up, watch you on the TV, watch you on YouTube, and don't do anything else. I pay attention to you closely, maybe even more than Rage and Marshall, because you're the kind of wrestler that you could do in a holy fill in the blanks moment. You're the kind of guy that could do something that, you know what, I might be speaking about or remember for the rest of my life. Do you feel like that as well? That you're kind of like the showstopper and kind of the stealer in the spotlight kind of guy almost?
It's hard to say with the name Picture of Perfection to be the showstopper. I I appreciate that other people feel that way. I don't know if I've hit that point that I could feel that way. I wish there's more for me to do for me to actually feel that way, but the fact that people are talking and that you put me there and Trenton puts me there and Rage might hate me, but he put me there. I appreciate that. But as far as me feeling that way, I feel like there's a lot more that I could have done or can do to put me there. I mean, you can't take away from Rage's rage.
Oh
He
no, Rage
is,
right now. And listen, he even went after you also after the match, and that's what he does after all the matches, where he either goes after the referee or goes after the guy he beat. So
and
right now, it's his yard.
and that's how I know that he's afraid of me. He knows that I'm better because he came out and attacked me. He came out
Right.
behind me. Like I didn't call him out. There was a point where I did call him out, but that was there was no cameras, there was no fans, and it was me and him one on one. And I won't get into what happened, but I'm pretty sure he understands what happened, and that was the way it went. But he came after me in front of everybody else. I didn't come after him, so that also puts me to that level of like, hey,
So are you
I
saying that that's a sign of desperation right now for Craven Rage? Are you saying
he
that Craven Rage right now he's worried about his spot and that's why he's acting the way he is? Is that what you're telling us here?
at least for me, he's worried
Hmm.
about me, and that like I might have the respect for him, but yeah, he's definitely worried that I could take his spot. I don't think
Hmm.
there's anybody else on the roster that's able to meet the
Sean
level that
Jovi has
he
a win over him. You don't think that Sean Jovi he's worried about?
he beat him on that day, but Craven's over Chovy. I'd have to
You
wait
know
for
they're going to be
Craven.
squaring off again. It was broke here a couple weeks ago. They're going to be in the ring again. I mean, you don't think that those guys that Sean Jovi who's holds a win over him, that you don't think that that could be the case?
I I think that Craven's desperation is going to allow him to overcome Jovi. He might pull a low blow, which he's done to me twice. He might pull knock the ref out so that way he can't count me three. J- Craven has a desperation that will allow him to win. Jovi
Isn't that
does.
what champions
Jovi
do though?
is in the record books. A win is a win. It doesn't matter
Right.
how. So
True.
exactly, that's the way it goes. I don't think I. The only way, and I believe in Jovi. Jovi and I are very good friends. I appreciate what Jovi does, and if he goes out there with the same desperation to want that title, he can walk away with it.
All right. Well, fair points. Let's get to a couple of comments in here. And Kodak knows when to do these moments. Every move he does has reason and doesn't just do moves for the sake of doing moves. I kind of feel like that's to be accurate. And another great point here. To be fair to Craven Rage, when you're a champion, you must always be in desperation mode. Do you think the move?
That's exactly what I was saying, and that's what Jovi needs to do. And I'm not saying he needs to be in desperation mode, but Jovi needs to expect that, and he also needs to be able to do whatever he can if he wants to be the Universal Grand Slam Wisconsin Night Champion.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to find out. And before that, of course, we're going to have the Sean Jovi 16th anniversary match against his best friend, Dark Fire. And certainly
Darkfire.
that's going to be a match. I mean, that's going to be so intriguing. And of course, next week on Sportswire Radio, we are back with another WCE takeover because we're going to pretty much have the entire roster for at least 20 or 30 minutes. And obviously, you're welcome to join in as well. And we're going to have as many people as we can from WCE to promote Blaze of Glory. And I mean, what do you think happens there then between Darkfire and Sean Jovi? Obviously, the history speaks for itself, and I saw the video package last night, and
They
that's going to be a
they
baller.
have a history that I don't even think you understand. They have been
I don't.
wrestling for the better part of 10 years together.
Yep, I
These
saw
two
there was
guys,
packages of them when they were like kids, like little kids almost.
the babies, to now, I sure hope that it is a very respectful bout, and that they bury the hatchet, but they know each other so well that it's going to be one of those nail biters. Is like what is going to happen and who's going to take the win.
You have an inclination on who you think would come away with the victory there?
I I don't know. I couldn't say who I think would win, but who I would want to win. I feel like Darkfire should show up and get his moment. Darkfire is somebody who I've grown to know very well now, and he hasn't had that picture perfect moment or
No.
anything like that. So I feel like Darkfire is gonna do some stuff that really is gonna bring him to the top of where he belongs.
Well, we'll certainly find out. There's no question that Darkfire could certainly use the win, but we'll see because Sean Jovi obviously still has a lot left in the tank, and Jovi versus Darkfire is too close
Is
to
too
call.
close to call. That's
It
why I
is.
mean I don't know who would win or who's gonna win, but I sure hope Darkfire really brings it because Jovi's the resident rock star. You know what I mean? Like he knows where he's at and he knows what he can do. I don't think Darkfire knows really what's in the tank until he gets in the ring with Jovi.
Absolutely. There's no question. I totally agree with you on that. And again, these are reasons why you need to go to WCEheat.com for more information on the likes of Sean Jovi versus Darkfire. And certainly, I do want to point out here that Craven versus Darkfire had over 1,500 views on YouTube right now. And it
Yes,
was
and Dark
800 I checked last time. That was what, through 2 or 3 days ago. And now they're at 1,500 plus views. I mean, why do you
fifteen
think
hundred.
why do you think that's the case? Why was that match been so successful with so many people,
Because
so
it
many
really
eyes?
showed what Darkfire didn't come away with the win, but and we know what Craver brings to the table, but that's where you really got to see where Darkfire comes into play. Darkfire isn't an unknown. He's still got some room to work, but man, I'm just so proud of him for the fact that he hit 1,500 views. Craven is one of those guys that can hit 15, but the fact that Darkfire and him were able to pull that many people and that many views was it's just it's very proud on my end.
And I think it's also got to give a larger audience to WCE because you have a match that generated so much attention that people outside of WCE watch the match. You think that's the case?
I think that has to do with you, the Rev, Tom Bryce. The fact that you guys you pull us in and you've given us a platform outside of WCE to really show and explain the behind the scenes stuff.
Well, I think that's important because I think there's no question that you look at what you guys do, and like many wrestling companies that were very humbly honored to support on Sportswire Radio, that there is a story that a lot of people out there would like to hear. And I think also that there's a lot of good that you guys do. And I don't think you guys are just some backyard wrestling company. I think you guys put your heart and souls into it. You're huge wrestling fans. You love the sport. You love the business. And I think that on Sportswire Radio, that's what we try to do here, whether it's WCE, whether our friends in England like the LWF and Odyssey Pro Wrestling, KOW, Nonstop Wrestling, and obviously GTM, so many other companies. That's what we try to do here on Sportswire. We try to highlight the good because there's a lot of bad in the world. There's a lot of people that can talk, but they don't back it up. And certainly you guys back it up. And also, we are very proud of Darkfire considering all he overcame with his demons to get where he is at.
Dark,
Absolutely.
that's kind of where I didn't want to throw him under the bus or anything, but
Yeah,
he
don't throw
definitely
anybody under the bus at this point.
no, he definitely had a lot of things that he overcame, and I think he deserves every bit of credentials that he gets and everything. He gets all the credit in the world for me. I've gotten to take him aside and work with him in the ring, on his ring work. Aside from also his personal life, I've gotten to experience things that he's experienced, and we both kind of are in the same boat. And he's done things that I don't think anybody else in WC would be able to do. and it's one of those things that I love Darkfire. I love him to death.
Yeah, me too. No, Dogfire, I got to tell you, he's one of those guys you really want to get behind, like our guest right now for the 10 or 15 minutes. That is the picture of perfection, Kodak Kidd, who we are going to see here absolutely in the near and distant future do some big things for our friends over at Wrestling Championship Entertainment. I got a couple of more comments. Craven Rage is the GOAT. This is his yard and he runs this place. Everyone falls to him. Kodak Kid, you are the picture of perfection, but Craven Rage will always wait on you and will take you out again. And Darkfire is up and coming and growing. I totally agree about Darkfire being upcoming and growing. And I wanted to ask you because we spoke a lot about everybody else as we're getting ready for Blaze of Glory. But I mean, where do we go from here with Kodak Kid when it comes to Blaze of Glory?
When it comes to Blaze of Glory, um, I know that at the end of Spirit in the Sky, I don't know if it was released, but I got attacked by a guy named JDT with a chair, and he has this obsession with a chair, and he's got the names written on it, who he's taken out with it, and I'm one of those guys. And when it comes to Blaze of Glory, JDT is on my radar. He's the guy that I need to take out because he thinks that just because he's got a chair, he's able to uh, do whatever he'd like. So I would hope to face JDT and see what he's got in store for me.
So I almost have to ask then, is this almost like a prove me match for Kodak Kid? Is this a match that you feel like you need to have in order to get back into the contention with the likes of a James Marshall or a Craven Rage?
No, it is a personal thing between me and JDT. It is not a prove me match. It is a shut him down match. And
Strong words.
whatever he has planned, he's not going to be able to take me out. And I promise 100% that I'm walking away as the winner between me and JDT if and that's if he wants to face me.
So I almost have to ask you then a follow up, Mr. Kodak Kid. I mean, if he's out there or if he's watching or listening to this, is there anything you want to say directly to him maybe before next week that maybe would make him want to say yes and accept what you're offering him?
JDT, oh man, you have started something and crossed a line that you are not going to be able to come back from. You, sir, are bound to me now. And when it comes to the next show, August 27th, I am going for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this only tells me that if you aren't a fan of Wrestling Championship Entertainment, you need to go right now to WCEHeat.com to get more information where you can find out for things coming up like Blaze of Glory Day 1 and Day 2, like Wrestling Championship Entertainment on YouTube and Facebook, where you can watch content, matches, hear more things like from our guest, Kodak Kid, because something tells me here JDT is going to find a way to hear this. He's going to have something to say about it. And who knows what the future brings. But I know one thing, stay tuned because it's definitely going to be a future that is going to look like something of a picture of perfection. But I wanted to ask you this question before we get to closing thoughts. And obviously, it's been a tremendous honor to have you here and share your story about all the great things you do here in your career. But I mean, what are your goals upcoming in WCE?
To put on the best show possible. I had my chance for both titles and I came up short, and if they come again, then I will take them on again. But my focus is for the people who watch, people who love WCE. I just want to do what I do, and that's wrestle.
What do you want to say to anybody that has either been a fan of you, WCE, or to anybody that's watching and says, you know what? maybe I do want to check out Kodak Kidd. Maybe I do want to check out more on WCE. What do you want to say to any of those groups?
I want to first thank the people that have watched, the people that, like you and Nicholas Crenson, they followed me. I appreciate it very much. And if you haven't checked out WC, you need to, because that's where the action's at. If you want to watch wrestling in Wisconsin, WCE is where it needs to be.
I'll tell you what, better words that could not have been said any better than what I just heard right now from the Kodak Kid. And what a story he has. And certainly he has become one of my favorites. And you need to watch him. Something tells me here he's got a lot to offer. And I can't wait to get him back on here. And frankly, I can't wait for Blaze of Glory Day 1 and Day 2. I mean, I have to watch everything else. I mean, I can't wait. I'm excited.
Ooh, you're giving me chills just thinking about it. Just picture that Kodak moment, man.
About WCE. Listen, anytime I get a chance to watch pro wrestling, in fact, at this point, you're going to chuckle before I get into closing thoughts. People ask me all the time, and they say, Rev, what are you up to these days? What are you doing with yourself? And I say, I'm watching wrestling. It's either I'm talking wrestling at this point, I'm watching wrestling at this point. That's all I do at this point. People say, are you watching the news? Are you following the stock market? I say, no, I'm following wrestling right now. I'm following wrestling. And in fact, at this point, other than the nice shirt I found, which I probably haven't worn this and who knows when, all I wear these days is wrestling shirts. So my life, it's all about wrestling. It was like when I was a kid 20 years ago in school, people were like, oh, all you do is wear wrestling shirts. But now it's all I do is wear wrestling shirts, and I'm damn proud about it. So WCE is one of those reasons I'm damn proud about pro wrestling. WCE is one of those reasons why I love pro wrestling and why we're going to keep covering pro wrestling here on Sportswire Radio and why we are the #1 global radio station and why Wrestling Championship Entertainment is one of the premier pro wrestling companies and the entire locker room is all a part of that. And I cannot wait for coming up next weekend because we got a lot. Listen, as I continue to say here before I get to closing thoughts here tonight, summer is not going to end until WCE's Blaze of Glory Day 1 and Day 2. Just like John Bon Jovi famously sang in Young Guns 2 with a Blaze of Glory, we are going to continue to go with a Blaze of Glory with summer. It's going to be the biggest, the hottest summer of the year with Blaze of Glory Day 1 and Day 2 because Spirit in the Sky and Red, White, and Bruised started the party. We're going to end in style with Blaze of Glory Day 1 and Day 2, and Kodak Kid is going to be that picture of perfection as to why we cannot wait and why we love summer, why we love pro wrestling, and most importantly, why we love WCE. So I want to give you the floor, my friend. I want to give you some closing thoughts and anything you want to plug, anything you want to say. And I can't thank you enough for this opportunity, and I turn it over to you, and the floor is yours.
Blaze of Glory Day 1 and Day 2. I can't wait. I'm sure there's a lot more planned. I don't know the exact plans, but I hope JDT is watching, and I sure hope that everybody else is watching. I just want to give a shout out to Darkfire again, who I'm very proud of, and I love him to death. I hope he's doing well, and he's always doing good. And thank you guys for watching so much, and just picture that Kodak moment.
Wow, I mean, what a gentleman, actually saying how much you love everybody else here in the roster, especially the name you just brought up. And obviously we love everybody here in the Wrestling Championship Entertainment. And again, Wrestling Championship Entertainment, please like their page on Facebook, YouTube as well, and WCEheat.com for more information, where of course you can get information on match history, the roster, who's the champion, what else is coming. So check out again, WCEheat.com for more information. My friend, I can't thank you enough. I'm looking forward to getting you on here real soon. This was a great, great journey, and I will tell you one thing. You definitely keep the flannel in style. You rock the flannel as good as anybody that maybe rocked it in the 90s. So I almost have to say, are you a grunge fan? Is that why you had the flannel?
No, I don't know where the flannel came from. I'm from farmland. I believe, and it's just when I heard the name, my original name was Picture of Perfection Kodak, and then I believe Sean Jovi gave me the name Kodak Kidd, and it just reminded me of Billy the Kid.
Oh, okay. Well, that was Young Guns, the Young Guns movies, Emilio Estevez. You do have a little bit of that Emilio Estevez look a little bit.
So like the flannel just came along with it. with the Kodak Kidd name, and I wrestled the first show in a flannel, and now I have a flannel every show.
Well, I'll tell you what, keep it. You're doing great. You're rocking it. You're killing it with those moonsaults and everything else you do out there. So I look forward to watching you coming up here, Blaze of Glory Day 1 and Day 2. Send me anything you want, and I'd be loving to watch all the stuff you do. And thank you to everybody. And my friend, I can't thank you enough out there. Congratulations on all the success. We'll see if JDT responds, and we hope to keep our fingers crossed to watch you out there, Blaze of Glory Day 1 and Day 2, and we'll speak with you soon.
Thank you, bud.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here on Sportswire Radio. I want to thank everybody for tuning in here tonight with pro wrestling star Kodak Kidd of Wrestling Championship Entertainment. And once again, we will have a WCE takeover coming up next Wednesday. Stay tuned for more details. We'll get almost everybody from the roster. We'll give them 20 or 30 minutes, and we'll just let them riff on why we should all tune in and watch Blaze of Glory Day 1. We will also be back here tomorrow night with Bentley, the Vigilante of Pro Wrestling. We'll also have Chris Murphy from Nonstop Action Wrestling the day after, and also Disciple the next day after to speak GTM and Nonstop Action Wrestling. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening. I am the host of the Sports Report, the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryson. Alongside me here once again was the picture of perfection, that is Mr. Kodak Kidd. Thank you, everybody. I am the host of the Sports Report, the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryson.